Hi, in this lab we will see how to create EC2 instance or virtual machine in Amazon Web Service. So to create EC2 instance or virtual machine, we need to go to the EC2 blade. So to get into here, we can simply search over here in the search box. So you will land up in this particular dashboard. So here we'll have instance types, etc. etc. So under this we need to choose instance. So here under instance, we can click on launch instance. So once we click on launch instance, a wizard will come. So we need to just follow the wizard to create the virtual machine or instance. So under name and tags, we need to give the name for the virtual machine. So in this lab, I'm going to give a name as demo VM. Once we have the name, then we need to select the images. So here we can see we have Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, etc. etc. So in this lab we'll choose Windows, and then we will choose Windows Server 2022 base. So if you click on this drop down, you may see multiple images with the respect to Windows Server. So we have here Windows Server 2019 and 2016, etc. etc. So you can choose according to your requirement. So let's choose Windows Server 2022 and we'll proceed. So then we have instance type. So this is nothing but the size of the virtual machines which you are going to select. So here we have multiple varieties. So we have T2 nano, T2 micro, T2 small, etc. etc. So as per your workload or load of your application, you can choose accordingly. So in this example, I'm going to choose T2 medium, which is 2 vCPU and 4 GB RAM. So once you have this selection of instance type, then we have key pair. So key pair is very important. So when you create any virtual machine in Amazon, it does not provide you an option to enter the local username and password. So instead of that, you need to create something called key pair. So let's create a key pair. Demo AWS, I'm going to give a name for this particular key pair, and I'll keep the type as RSA and private key format as PEM, and then I will click on create key pair. So it will automatically download the private key. So you have to keep this in a safe location. This is required to retrieve the password later to log into the particular VM. Once you have this key pair, so automatically it will select over here. So if you have multiple key pair, you can choose which one you want to use. So in this example, just going to keep AWS demo. So this is very important, which is network settings. So click on edit, and here you need to select your VPC. So if you have multiple VPCs, you need to choose on which VPC you are going to deploy this particular EC2 instance or virtual machine. So in our example, this is 10.125.0.0/22/16, which is VDI VPC. So then subnets. So if you have multiple subnets, you need to decide on which subnet you wanted to deploy this particular virtual machine. So in this demo, I'm going to choose production VDA subnet, and then we have auto assign public IP address. So by default this is disabled. This is nothing but, do you want to allocate public IP address for this particular virtual machines? So if you wanted to access this virtual machine from the internet, then you need to enable this. Otherwise you cannot take remote of this particular virtual machine. If you do not want to take remote from the internet, then you can keep it as disable, but make sure that you have a site to site VPN connectivity or point to site VPN connectivity between your device and this particular VM, so that you can take a remote using the internal IP instead of public IP. So then we have firewall security group. So so here this is nothing but a firewall which is attached to particular virtual machines. So we'll have a detailed discussion on this topic later. So for now I'll just select existing security group. So I'll choose the default one which comes with by default in Amazon cloud. So I will go with the default security group or firewall. Then we have a storage. So here you can define what is the storage you wanted to allocate for your C drive. So by default it comes with the 30 GB. You can mention 40, 50 as per your requirement. So I'll keep it as it is. And then the storage type. So here you can choose GP3 or GP2 or IOPS 1 or IOPS 2, etc. So this is all based on the performance. So if you wanted to use a higher performance disk, then you need to choose the IO2 such type of disks. So for now, I'll just choose general purpose SSD, and that's it. So this is it related to the EC2. So once you have all these details, then we can click on launch instance. So once you hit on launch, it will spin up the virtual machine for you. Then we will see how to take a remote and how to configure the remaining part later. So it will take some time to create the VM. So let's go back to the instance and we'll see the progress. Let's hit on refresh. As you can see, our VM is ready now. It is in a running state and the check has been passed. So this is how we can create virtual machine or EC2 instance in Amazon Web Service.